Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's spooky show with Viv and Dan. I'm so excited. I'm really excited to have
Are
John.
you so excited you just can't hide it?
No,
You're about to
we
lose
got
control
John.
and you know you like it.
We got John. Now, for those that don't know, John Blackburn, our guest for this evening, is an incredible medium, an incredible paranormal investigator, and more than that, he is an innovator of the paranormal. He is always looking for new ways, new techniques, answers to those questions that everyone are too scared to ask. I've seen some of the things that John's done firsthand, and oh my god, it just blew my head. There is so much to John. He's got so many different facets, and there's so many dimensions to him. And I'm going to try and get as much out of John as possible tonight, so you learn a bit more in the chat about John too. But for now, I just want to say welcome, John. It's been far too long, and we're so pleased to get you tonight.
Thank you for coming on, John. Really appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Viv, and thank you, Dan. And I don't think I'll be able to fit my head out the door tonight.
But I'm just telling the truth. I know I've known you for a few years.
It's been a long time now, Viv.
Let's just not talk about the length of time I've known you. And I've got to know you on a sort of like semi-personal level, and I consider you a very good friend.
Thank you.
You've helped me no end with certain things throughout my paranormal and medium journey, if you like, and career. And I can only say thank you for that. And, you know, without you, I don't think I'd be the person that I am today, John, because I do learn from you, to be honest. So, no, I don't think I've ever actually said thank you to you, to be fair. So I'm saying it now. I'm saying it now.
And that's why Viv, I wanted Viv to introduce John, because obviously she's got a personal relationship with him. She knows him. I've never really met. Sadly, I've not met John before tonight. I was speaking to him,
out.
But I've met people that have worked with him and alongside him, and I must admit, and this is honest, that I've never met anybody over the years I've met that have worked with John that have ever had a bad word to say about him. It's always been positive and good stuff. So it's exciting to knowing vaguely off the back of other people they've told me, and the stuff that John's achieved over the years. It's really exciting to get to talk to him tonight. So thank you, John, for coming on. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much. I appreciate
the invite. Thank you very much.
So, John, can we start right the way back at the beginning when I first met you?
Yeah.
Got to know you and spoke to you. And you was running events
yes,
for people. And these events, it wasn't just little ones here, there, and, you know, every now and again. These were proper, full-on events, major places that he was hiring. John, how did that side of things start for you, the event side?
Yeah, it started with Mysteria Paranormal Events. And that came around in 2010. That's how old I am now. 2010. And as I was having a chat before the show started, I used to be a project controller for a company called United Utilities, which is a water company.
Yeah.
And they were hiring, they were taking on a lot of agency staff who were project controllers, but on the nuclear sector, who were more skilled than what we were within house, if you know what I mean. So consequently, they were offering voluntary severance. So nervously, I took it, and because I've worked for other companies in the past, and I've been around a bit on private research groups, I decided that I would create Mysteria Paranormal Events, and that's how it started for me.
It was quite a big thing, Mysteria, because you had people that came in and worked alongside you for a while and went, and then after a while you sort of took the reins, and people were learning from you rather than other people. But what I want to say is, John, what really amazed you is your inclination to bring in experiments and make the actual event something unique, something different for people.
To be honest, I'm the type of person that I need to do something different all the time. And I'm not about keeping people sat in the dark and doing nothing. I want to keep people busy. And you know, it's rewarding when you see people going home with a smile on their face at the end of the night, and that's it for me, to be honest with you. And it's about pushing the boundaries, and I need to do more constantly.
Yeah. I just want to say a big hello. Sorry, I'm not ignoring people in the chat. I'm trying to get them up there in just little waves. But William,
sorry.
Good evening to you, sir. This is William. This is John.
William.
John. This is William.
Hello, William.
William is in Glastonbury, and I class William as a friend, and he's an alchemist, which is something quite interesting. So I just wanted to put that out there. Sorry, William, I put you on the spot.
Kind of man. My kind of man, William. Really are. Because I'm not Andy Mercer, a good friend of mine, who's an excellent medium, and he always said that he's not a fluffy bunny, and I'm not a fluffy bunny neither.
And neither is William, to be fair to you. He gives it to you how it is, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Bang, there you go. which is what we like, really, to be honest.
The thing that intrigues me, John, is the thing I always ask different mediums and that when they come on, people with mediumistic abilities or those people of that ilk, when it started for them. It intrigues me to because I know some people say, well, it didn't start until later on in life. A lot of people say, well, this is something that was sort of present in childhood, didn't recognise what it was, but then it obviously became significant, and then I, grew up with it. What about you? How did you?
For me, I spent about 15 years on mediumship circles, really, and a couple of mediums who I learned from. One was the great Jill Mayer, who sadly died about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also Joanne Jones, who's still alive, thankfully. And Joanne Jones, I've been in Joanne's circle for, I don't know, 10 years, easily. We don't see each other now because I've moved now to County Durham, but and Joanne lives in Manchester. But an amazing lady, amazing talented lady, and she spent a lot of time herself going on courses and passing down the information, and she's a good teacher, really. So if anybody wants to develop, Joanne's
she's the woman.
Really is. Yeah.
And that's worth knowing. That's interesting. So when you go on, sorry, go on.
Go on, Dan. You go.
No, I was just going to say when you, it's going to be it's a mediumistic thing, but when you connect to spirit, do you see them, for want of a better description, do you see them in the flesh, or is it just images you get? Because I know different mediums work on different vibrations and levels.
Yeah, I have done in the past. To be honest with you, I think my strong point is more physical rather than mental mediumship, if that makes sense. Because my whole thing really, when I did events, I wasn't about telling people what was in my head. I was about showing people what they could see and feel, and that's me, really. So I think my strong point is more clairsentient, clairvoyant. Not so much clairaudient, although I have heard things before. But I'm definitely not claircognizance. That's a big word.
Right. No, that's fine.
Can I just say, Dan, John has worked with the Anguished Man painting.
Yes.
And he did a lot of work with that, whether it be through mediumship or whatever. But he also helped, and he's working with the transference, with spirit transference. Now, this work is groundbreaking. I don't think you realise, John, how big this was, and how that work is still going on today behind the scenes.
Yeah.
John, can you talk a little bit about that and what happened? I don't go into it fully because we'll be here for a few days.
Certainly, yeah.
But
I could talk about that for a long time because there's so much went on, but I'll try and cut it down to about 10 minutes, let's say. And funny enough, I was watching a video today. I don't know if you knew it or not, but the Englishman's featured on William Shatner's Weird or What. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I didn't know that.
I know William Shatner's Weird or What, but I didn't know the Englishman was on it. I didn't realise
yes,
that.
It was. And there in all his glory was Sean Robinson. Now Sean is an amazing guy. He really is. He's such a nice guy, and I have to thank Sean a lot for the opportunities that he gave me. And basically, what happened is when I watched this episode of The Englishman and William Shatner today, and it kind of all started to go strange for Sean in 2010. Now, what actually happened is that Sean got the painting from his grandmother. His grandmother knew that Sean had this morbid fascination about it. The only thing she knew is that it was painted in the artist's blood, and when he finished it, he committed suicide, and Sean's grandmother considered it to be pure evil. So when she died, she passed it on to Sean. It came into his house, he put it on the wall, and his wife said, "That's not staying there." So,
really?
Because she didn't like it. She just didn't like it. It weren't the feel of it, it was just the look of it.
Mm.
So it went in the basement, and it was there for a long time. And then in 2010, I can't remember what he said on the show now, but I think he said it was in the basement for about 18 months. In 2010, he brought it out of the basement, and all strange things began to happen. And interestingly enough, the strange things that happened to Sean happened to me. And except for being pushed downstairs, which Sean's son was. What actually happened to Sean's son is this is the reason why the painting went back in the cellar again. Sean's son was on the stairs and he felt hands pushing down the stairs. Consequently, that really troubled Sean, and they put the painting back into the cellar again. He said that he had lots of nightmares. My dreams were just, they were bizarre dreams. You know? And I'll go into the dreams later. I'll move on. Anyway, so it was in 2012, 2 years later, that Sean got in touch with me. Now, a lot of things happened, and I'm actually writing a book now, which I'll talk about in a bit.
Yes.
And you know, it boils down to synchronicity, really, I think, because Sean got in touch with me, sent me an email, and he sent me this video that he's captured in a bedroom when he locks off a camera in his bedroom. And the video I thought was amazing. It really, really was. And it's piqued my interest, and I thought, wow, I've got to find out more about that. So I said, Sean, can I talk? I think I said to Sean, if I remember rightly, can we chat on the phone? So we chatted on the phone. And he says, I want to know more information about it. Can you help me? And I said, Sean, yeah, I can do, but I need to work with it. And he said, right, okay. So there's an interesting fact is that synchronicity side of it, Sean later said, I didn't mean to send the email to you. I meant to send it to somebody else. Which is bizarre, isn't it? But there's more. But the synchronicity goes on because there's weird things that went on in the story. So I agreed to work with the painting. Well, Sean agreed for me to have the painting and work with it. I thought I'd have it for 2 weeks. 3.5 years later, I was it was bizarre. So cutting everything out, really. First 1.5 years, it was like we were getting to know each other. I used to take the Englishman, put it in the back of the car, going to an event, and I used to speak to him and say, okay, today we're going to such and such a place. No. And I was on my own, speaking to a painting in the car. So But I thought, I knew there was something there. I knew he listened to me. I knew it. I felt it.
Mm.
So the memorable change for me was, like I said, 1.5 years later. The painting then didn't have an easel. Sean just gave me the painting. I used to look after it and just put it on the side. And if I wanted to work with it on an event, I'd prop it up against a chair or something like that, so people could see it. So I took it to Chillingham Castle, the most haunted place in Great Britain, according to Sir Humphreys, which I think a lot of people would probably agree with him. And that was the biggest change point for me on that night, because it was then, on that night, I came up with the Englishman Live Experiment. I called it the Englishman Live Experiment, and it was at Chillingham Castle, and I think that was the first one. Cut a long story short again, Sean came to that event on that night, and looking back at it, really, I could kick myself, because Sean had a bad back because he was a power lifter. I mean, he's the size of Jeff Capes. Do you remember Jeff Capes?
Yeah, he's massive guy.
He's the size of him. He was huge, and his arms were about as big as your thighs. They're absolutely huge. So consequently, all the powerlifting he did, it gave him a bad back. So we did the event. Sean decided to stay most of the night in the base room, in the cafe area of Chillingham Castle. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I took the painting into the Great Hall. It was dark. The painting was in the corner. There was 24 people there that night, and then this guy said, "There's a figure coming out the painting." Although it was dark, you could see the silhouettes of people, and we all looked, and you could actually see a figure coming out of the painting, a big figure. It was big, and then it kind of disappeared, I think. So the night went on, and then I decided to take the painting upstairs, and this is where Sean couldn't join us, because we took it upstairs to Edward's room. Now at Chillingham Castle, Edward's room is deemed to be the most haunted room in the castle, and the reason being for that is there was a chief torturer of the castle called John Sage. What John Sage did at that time, during the days of William Wallace, Chillingham Castle was nicknamed by a priest of being the embodiment of evil. And the reason why he called it that, because it was a torture place for Scots, because it was a border castle. It was to keep the Scots out of England. John Sage actually worked for Edward Longshanks as one of his captains. I think he was, but he got injured, and because he couldn't fight anymore, he was given the job of the chief torturer of Chillingham, which he enjoyed fully. And the reason why they say that Edward's room is the most haunted in the castle is because what he actually did, he piled up live people on a bonfire and burnt them all. And this was in the courtyard of Chillingham Castle. And whilst he was doing this, and you could smell the burning flesh, you could hear the screams. He had the children of the people who were being burnt looking down at them from Edward's room, which was nicknamed the Killing Room. So the reason why they called it the Killing Room as well is because he thought to himself, well, I've killed their mums and dads, and I've burnt them alive. Consequently, these children, when they grow up, they're going to be a bit annoyed and come after me. They'll want revenge. So he got an axe, I think it was, which is still at Chillingham, and they chopped all the kids to bits, basically. So it is a pleasant place.
Yeah, lovely.
So I took the painting upstairs and I put the painting in the middle of the circle and I propped it on a chair so it stood upright. I decided to put a lady in front of the painting, not touching the painting, just stood there, and a lady at the back. And the reason being because I wanted to get the energy flowing, because ladies' energy is stronger than men, and I just wanted to get that going. No disrespect, Dan, but it's true.
No, it's true. No.
Take note, Dan.
I'll never get insulted.
So I had all the guests around the circle, all holding hands. And the reason why we hold hands at the end of the day, as you know, is to generate energy to work with. But also, if we're holding hands, then nobody's doing anything, are they? They're all accounted for.
Yeah, no skullduggery.
What we didn't notice, or nobody paid attention to, was a bench on the outside of the circle. So the lights were off. It was all dark. I was talking to the painting, and I asked it a few questions, and I said, "Can I talk to you now?" And then all of a sudden, people jumped in fright. Everybody jumped in fright because the bench from the outside of the circle must have lifted about 2 foot off the ground and banged very hard on the floorboard, so it made everybody jump. So at this point, it was a very most haunted moment then, because I said, "Can I have 2 bangs for no?" So consequently, the bench lifted up and banged down twice for no. So I thought, well, let's make it interesting. So you remember Sean's grandmother saying, "Would you consider yourself to be pure evil?" I asked the ultimate question to the painting. I said, "Would you consider yourself to be pure evil?" Bear in mind, there was 24 people there that night, which was 24 witnesses on the night. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All of a sudden, Edward's room is quite warm. It's quite a warm room because Sir Humphrey's apartment is underneath it, so it gets all the rising heat. All of a sudden, the temperature dropped in seconds. You could see your breath. You know when you see horror films and you see your breath?
Yeah.
Without a word of a lie, it was like that. And then all of a sudden, in front of the painting came this figure of a man. It must have been 6'6", easily. And I always remember me being stood in the circle myself. It looked as if it was gliding across the floor towards a young girl who came on the events with her dad, called Abby Horrocks. Abby was only quite small in comparison, so you can imagine this big figure stops in front of Abby Horrocks, looking down at her. Abby Horrocks is shaking, nervous. I think her eyes were probably closed and she was scared to death. And I thought to myself, well, I need to diffuse this now. So I said, okay, I needed to take control because it was getting out of control. Mm-hmm. I said, we've been with each other for quite some time now. Would you consider yourself connected to me? And then all of a sudden, everybody could see this figure in the middle of the circle. It went around the center of the circle like that. It came behind me. I could feel the intense energies of it's trying to enter my body. And I thought, it isn't going to happen. There's not a chance because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And then...
Definitely.
And then because I took control of the situation, I stopped him coming any further. The temper just went back to normal again, and he vanished. He was gone. But the interesting thing was, when I did the Englishman Live experiment, there was 2 things. Sean wanted to find out information, so that's what I wanted to find out. And the other thing, I thought to myself, what if you took a haunted object to a haunted location? How would the resident spirits react? Boy, did they react on that night.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because what actually happened is, when I took control of the situation, the 6-foot figure went, the temperature in the room went back to normal again. But then all of a sudden, the energy changed. You could feel a change in the energy. It went from being extremely negative to different. I don't know whether negative or what, but it just felt different. Everybody could feel it. And then all of a sudden, something grabbed hold of the bench and flipped it upside down
Angry.
in anger. In anger.
Yeah.
And so the staff at Chillingham Castle instantly said, "It's John Sage." And the guy who was there at the time, who did the events at the time, he banned me bringing the painting to Chillingham Castle ever again.
You angered the spirits.
Well, I wasn't sure whether it was that or whether he said Chillingham Castle was haunted enough anyway. So I wasn't allowed to bring the painting again.
Do you think they were scared, John? Do you think the staff were scared?
Everybody was scared on that night. It was the only event I've ever done in my life where I took everybody downstairs and they were all physically shaking.
So do you think it's the actual spirit that's attached to that painting? Do you actually think that it is evil, or it just perceives itself to be evil?
We're getting into the next part of the conversation, I suppose.
Right, sorry. I've jumped ahead, sorry.
No, it's fine, because it leads in nicely, really. There's things that went on, and I really don't. Well, I don't blame Sean, to be honest with you. I was working with a painter for 3.5 years. It was getting really, really good. The activity was just out of this world. You know, I used to talk to the painting. It got to the situation where the painting shook for no. And at this time, I brought an easel for the painting, which is in this room, actually. And as soon as I put the painting on the easel, I gave it legs. As mad as it sounds, I gave it legs. And the painting used to use the easel as legs. I'm not kidding. It's no joke. There's events that I did. One was at Drakelow Tunnels, where the painting was rocking from side to side, and it was doing a 360.
Wow.
There was Jim Trovers just said he remembers that well, so there's another witness for you.
There you go.
The amount of activity from the painting was just amazing. And before I go on to Sean, I just need to sort of say something, really. Is I was getting into the situation where, okay, the painter was now communicating with me. I gave him legs. He was moving around. Okay. He was communicating with me, shaking. He was communicating in my dreams, which I'll tell you about in a bit. And I thought to myself, well, what I need to do is give him a voice. So I created what's called a germanium receptor. A germanium receptor isn't a design that I thought of. I had the privilege of interviewing Robin Foy one day, and Robin Foy was from the Skull experiment, and he was the first person to have the germanium receptor. And where he got the germanium receptor from was during his sessions of the Skull experiment. They were told to leave a film, a 35mm film, on the table in the skull hole, as they called it, which was a dark room. They were told to leave it overnight, come back, have it developed. They did, and on it was handwriting, high with lift symbols and messages, and a diagram from how to build the germanium receptor, and that came from spirit. And now that's mind blowing, isn't it?
It is.
So, yeah. And what's even more mind blowing, the spirit who told them the design of the germanium receptor was the only man himself, Thomas Edison.
Oh.
So it's quite mind blowing, isn't it?
That is mad.
So I got the design, and I made a germanium receptor. And my idea, which I'm going to attach it to the anguished man, and my idea was to have a conversation with I wanted to generate a conversation and to find out about his past and what went on. I did find out about some of his past, but not all of it. So going back to where I was before, 3.5 years I worked with the painting altogether. This guy, who I won't mention names, he wanted to film me doing the events, and I agreed, and he had a good team, and I don't mind saying this. He called me a fraud, and he said to John that I can prove that John Blackburn is a fraud. So Sean was obviously really annoyed, which you can imagine, and I don't blame Sean for that at all. And me and Sean spoke, and I said, look, Sean, I said, if you've got anything, a video, then show it. I'm not bothered, because I'm not a fraud.
Yeah.
So I think by this time, Sean had enough then. He felt that the Englishman was getting a bad name, and maybe, because it's deemed to be the most haunted in the world, maybe it should be back in the basement again. So consequently, the guy who called me a fraud, when Sean took the painting back, a week later, he was trying to work the painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a way, yeah.
It took me 1.5 years just to get a relationship with a painting. There was no way that this guy was going to achieve it in the short space of time that he wanted to. So anyway, me and Sean parted ways. It was the strangest time in my life, because Mysterio was doing all right.
So sorry, John. Did Sean not clock on? Did it not add up to 4 when the other guy tried to basically usurp you and take the painting, or use the painting for himself? Did Sean not click onto that?
I suppose it depends how much you told him, really, doesn't it? Really, and what you told him. To be fair, I don't blame Sean for it at all. I have total respect for Sean. He gave me 3.5 years chance of something that was that was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Sean kind of fell out for a little while, but we are speaking again. I've not spoken to him for a while, because Sean's not been too well. But I have checked on him every now and again and just asked him if he was all right. I said, Sean, I'm not interested in the painting. The Englishman, I just wanted to make sure that you was okay. So we've had a little chat like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, when the painting went back to Sean, it was the weirdest time in my life, because Mysterio wasn't doing bad, and I just let it all go. I just went into what I can only deem as being a state of grieving for about 7 months, 7 or 8 months. And Maxine said to me, she said, Maxine, who I worked with then and who I live with now, she said, John said, you need to get yourself back together. He said, you're totally losing it. You need to get back on the bike and do it again. So what we did, I listened, and I booked an event at a place called the Manor House in London, which was near Shepherd's Bush Studios, if I remember rightly. And how I knew about that place, that was a totally different story, really. I've been on TV 3 times properly, twice in Japan.
Eileen's in Japan, she's in the chat.
Sorry, Japan, yeah.
And once in Canada, but not really in England. One program in England once, which I don't want to talk about.
Fair enough.
But the two in Japan was connected with the Englishman, because they were absolutely fascinated with it. So I ended up doing these 2 little shows, because Sean asked me to do them. So I did. Oh, sorry, Sean asked me to do one, and then a company got in touch with me directly and asked me to do the other, and I told Sean about it. So anyway, we did this event. I was driving back to Manchester from London the night after, and I was tired, so I thought I'd go to bed about 2 o'clock. And then everybody else carried on, and then I'd drive back to London, to Manchester the next day. So bear in mind, this was 7 or 8 months later, of when the Englishman went back. We did the event, and it was really good. A boxer friend of mine, a semi-professional boxer called Bill Smith. Now, I met Bill Smith at Woodchester Mansion, and his wife brought him along when he was doing the Englishman live experiments at Woodchester Mansion. And what I decided to do on that night, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but it's kind of
it's fine. It's fine.
What I actually did on that night was I was letting people do lone vigils with the painting in the cellar of Woodchester Mansion for 10 minutes, but they didn't know that they were going to do it. So what I decided to do as a bit of as a bit of an experiment, I decided to get raffle tickets, and I give everybody a raffle tickets, and to make it fair, I did a raffle, and I got someone to take a raffle ticket out of a hat. So this woman came along, took a raffle ticket out of a hat, and said number 34, and Bill went, yeah, I got it, and he sort of went along, and Bill thought he was going to win a bottle of wine. So I said, right, Bill, I said, you won 10 minutes of a lone vigil with the Englishman downstairs. So Shelley, who was Bill's wife, thought it was that highly amusing because Bill was a complete skeptic. He didn't believe in anything. She had to drag him along to Woodchester Mansion. So I took him down to the cellar. The painting was already there, primed up. It's just on its easel, a chair in front of the painting. And if you've been to Woodchester Mansion in the cellar, there's like a little window, isn't there, in the cells? And there was a little window about that big. And it was a moonlit night that night, so you could see a bit of moonlight coming through. So Bill says, well, what do I do? I said, you'd like to be spoken to, Bill. I said, I'll leave you 10 minutes, have a chat to him, and then I'll come down for you in about 10 minutes. So this was in the break time, this. So we all was all having a cup of tea. And I come down 10 minutes later and I said to Bill, I said, how did you find it? He said, John, it was amazing. And I said, why? He says, well, I was speaking to him. And then I said, I had to look closely, and he said its mouth was moving. There was no voice coming out of it, but his mouth was moving. And he said, nah, it must be the trick of the light. And he turned the torch on, shone the torch at the Englishman's face. And he said the mouth was still moving, even though it had the torch on. So he was blown away, and then he was converted, really. So going back to the Manor House in London on that night, 7 months later, after the painting went back, Bill said that he felt compelled to bring this Ouija board with him, which he'd got from Fluckley Village, I think it was. And he said it was always a weird feeling to this Ouija board, and used to keep it under the bed and didn't pay any attention to it. But he said he felt compelled to give it to me or Maxine. So because Bill knew my thoughts of Ouija boards, and please, anybody listening, don't take my offence. Don't take any offence. It's just me. It's the way I am. I've never used Ouija boards because some people don't like them. Some people do. But the other side of the Ouija board for me is that every man and his dog uses Ouija boards, and I didn't want to. So he decided to give it to Maxine instead, and I went to bed. So he gave it to her after I went to bed. Now, when I was working with the Englishman, after about 1.5 years, I was starting to get the name of David by then, which is another interesting story as well, which I'll come to later on. So I went to bed. There was Bill, his wife, Cheryl, another Cheryl, and Maxine, and they all decided to jump on this Ouija board. I think everybody had gone to bed by then. It was just them left. And no sooner did they put the finger on the planchette, it spelled out D-A-V-I-D. And it spelled out that he missed me and he wanted to work with me still. And the bizarre thing is, I'm looking around me because I'm looking for the book. I don't know if it's around there anywhere. The bizarre thing is that there was a guy who worked for United Utilities, called Stephen Fletcher. Now, Stephen Fletcher, he was a type of guy, you like fast cars and you like doing things, different things all the time, things of excitement. And he decided to buy different books about the paranormal. And because he knew what I did, he read these books, got bored of them, and then gave them to me. So consequently, I was having these loads of books stacked up that he gave me. And to be honest, I'm not a big reader because I read, but then I'm thinking about something else at the same time. And,
Yeah.
I end up reading the same page twice or three times. And he decided to get a book called, do you know what? I'm trying to see it because it's around here somewhere. If I can show you it, but I can't find it. Typical. I should have got it out before. Anyway, he decided to get this book, and it was a book of spells. And he decided to try these spells, like black magic spells. He decided to try all these spells, and nothing worked for him. So he said, "John," he said, "I bought this book, the book of spells. Nothing's worked. Yeah, you can have it." And I said, "All right, cheers, Steve. Put it on the pile." Yeah. So, gobsmackingly enough, David on the planchette on that night at the manor house spelled out the name of the book.
Wow.
And it spelled out the page. Well, it went to the page, the number, and the chapter that we needed to actually follow. Okay. And I know it sounds nuts. I really do. But you know what's more nuts? Is that on that very day, Stephen Fletcher sent me a message. And I hadn't heard of Stephen Fletcher for 5 years. He sent me a message and said, me and my son want to come on one of the events. Can we come on the one tonight? And I said, yeah, sure. Synchronicity.
Yeah.
But he never came. But the point is, he got in touch with me on that night.
Yeah.
On that night, David spelled out what he spelled out. And I didn't find this out till the next morning because Maxine took me outside, and I thought, "But have I done something wrong?" So she took me outside, and she told me about all what went on. And I don't mind admitting to you, I had tears in my eyes. It was just, it really got to me because it was like when I lost contact with the Englishman. It was like being torn apart, or two twins being torn apart. It was that sort of feeling, really. And it's shameful me saying this, and I really is. My mum and dad died. My mum died about 6 years ago. My dad probably died about 15 years ago. And I grieved more for the Englishman painting and David, who was attached to the painting, which is another story, more than I did for mum and dad.
That's not selfish. Grief
No,
is
not really.
different for everyone, and don't ever think that's selfish.
It was it's just bizarre. But do you know what I mean? It was bizarre. So she told me about this outside, and I just got so emotional about it. And the David stayed on the Ouija board for about another 12 months, I think. And we used to get him to do things. We put a car in front of it once and asked him to move it. Now either George, Maxine's cat, give it a whack with his paw. I don't know, but it moved. But I mean, we can't prove whether that happened or not. I mean, it's just one of these things. But I then started thinking to myself, and I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm not going to be called a fraud. There's not a chance, because I'm not. And then I don't know if you remember about this, Viv, but I did loads of interviews on Facebook and people doing live streams and stuff like that. And I said that I was going to do a process of karmic transmigration. And that's transmigrating the spirit of David from a spirit board to a painting. that I painted. Now, at that time when we did this, it was in the basement of Cook's Corner in Hartlepool. A good friend of mine called Jason Cook, he owns a little cafe, and it's the most haunted little basement that you've ever been in. It's amazing. So I decided to do it in there. So he said, so like Jason said, the basement's yours, John, just crack on. And I said, right. We attached, I made a copper table because everything I do, I always work a lot with copper. And if you look at magic contains a lot of copper. It really does. And I made a copper table, which I've used a number of times. I put the spirit board on top of the copper table for conductivity. I attached two copper cables from the copper table to the painting that I painted. Now, at that time, it wasn't a painting as such. It was just a blank white canvas. What I actually did was, you know, like the Englishman was painting his own blood. It's DNA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Isn't it? It's a
life source. And I thought I need to put some of me in that, but I need a stronger life source. So in the painting, in the white base coat of the painting itself, I put some of my hair, but like I kind of cut it really, 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 really small, and I mixed it in with the paint, and I just put it on. And Michael Postlethwaite was there on that night, and he filmed it. He's probably still got it. It didn't move much, to be honest with you, but we did transfer the spirit of David from the spirit board to the painting. And when I spoke to the blank canvas, you could see the leg of the easel moving slightly. It wasn't moving a lot, but it was moving slightly. And things started to develop from there. What I did with the painting is the canvas, I should say, because it wasn't a painting at that point. I knew everything about the Englishman. I knew where all the energy points were. I knew everything. Because 3.5 years you would do, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a relationship.
And then behind the painting, I put sheets of copper where I knew where the energy points were. And around the edges of the canvas, I put copper. And it kind of grew from there, really. Painting started to move. It's only recently that the painting's really moving these days. I was only on doing a Skype interview with William Becker, good friend of yours, Viv, and he's a good friend of mine now. He's a great guy.
He is,
and he has a theory, and I don't think he'll mind you saying this. He keeps saying to me, he says, "John, be careful." He says, because he wants your body. He wants to be in your body. So I said, okay, noted, William. That night, and I've only seen it do this once before, is the painting of David was behind me in this room on the easel. The easel is pretty solid. Mm-hmm. I was talking to William. We finished. I went to bed. I couldn't be bothered taking the painting down. I left it in this room. I went to bed and he had a bang, a loud bang, and I thought George the cat had knocked something over. And the next morning, the painting was on the side. It was like propped against the wardrobe. Now, there's no way the cat could have done that. You couldn't push it over. Do you know what I mean? So there's only another time that painting has actually done that, and I was at Woodchester Mansion. I left the painting on its own in this room, and I could hear the clatter of the easel legs. I could hear them moving them. So that's where we were, really. I painted the painting of David. I should have brought it with me tonight, but it's downstairs at the moment. And I thought to myself, well, now I'm in a position for nobody to take him away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's now working with me all the time, which is what he wanted to do. Because we had that connection. And there was something really, really funny. Do you mind me telling you about something? Have you got time for this? Because I'm not taking a breath, am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you carry on. We're listening.
Right. I've started to write a book. And it's called Pentimento, A Spiritual Journey. And it starts from the beginning of the Englishman to where I am now, really. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to next start the Pentimento sessions, which I'm hoping that you're going to be part of, Viv.
Okay,
if you agree to it.
Depends what I have to do, because I'm scared of that painting.
Too like you're doing it now.
Yeah. And I decided to go to a spiritualist church. This was only 2 weeks ago, because I want to find a base for it, you see, a base for the painting. I want to keep the painting working, not via events, but via, well, I've got different ideas. And I thought, what if I took the painting to a spiritualist church where they do a development workshop, you know, like a circle?
Yeah.
So there's one down the road, and it finished at 8:30. And I was stood in the foyer. There's like a little foyer type thing before you go into the church itself. So it's like a little, it's only a small foyer where you stand there. And I could hear them doing,
Sorry.
it's all right. I could hear them doing the service still. And I thought, I'll wait, and I'll wait until they finished it, and then I'll go in and ask to chat to one of the committee members about what my idea was. Well, 3 ladies come out, this young girl and these 2 women, and this young girl turned around and went, "Ma'am!" She screamed, "Ma'am," and looked at me really, really funny. Right, and the 2 women with her, which one was obviously a mum, looked at me funny as well, and said, "Sorry, you just couldn't come out." And he said, No, you come in. And they looked really, really scared. So I must have made them jump. I don't think for a second there was anything else, but I must have made them jump. And I went in, and I saw this guy, and I said to this guy, I says, can I chat to one of the committee members, please? And he says, "Yeah, you can talk to me if you want." Now, at the corner of my eye, I saw this lady go into the kitchen and didn't come out again. So I said, I've got an idea, and I said, I was wondering if you'd want something really different for your development circle, which I assume you have one. He said, "Yes, I do." But he said, "My wife runs a development circle if you want to chat to her." Consequently, his wife was this lady who went in the back of the kitchen. She was there for 10 minutes, and this other lady come out and says, I can't remember her name now. She said, such and such a body's coming out now to chat to you. And I said, right. She said, "Do you want to sit on the stage?" So I sat on the stage. And she came out, and she was looking at me all suspiciously, you know, type of thing. And she said, "Right, what do you want to talk to us about?" So I said, "Well, what I want to talk to you about is an idea I've got for your development circle." She says, "That's okay," but she said, "We are governed by the SNU." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Okay." So I said, well, I had to tell them the full story then,
Yeah,
of the Englishman and how it all came about. And the woman who went in the back of the kitchen says, "Can I stop you there a minute?" And I said, "Yeah, of course you can." She says, "As soon as you walked in," she said, "I went in the back of the kitchen to protect myself."
Oh, here he is. He's back again.
Hello. She says, I went in the back of the kitchen to protect myself. And she says, "To be honest," I said, "I wouldn't like to open my students up to that." And she said, also, I said that, my idea was for their students to use psychometry on the painting. And she says, we're not allowed to do psychometry in the SNU. They were at one time, but they're not anymore. So I find that highly bizarre, actually, that she had to protect herself. But she did tell me, which is, I suppose, what William's on about, and to a degree, I do agree with what she said, and I agree with William says. She said, he's attached to you. She said he's really attached to you, and she said it's like a leech, really. He said he's taking your energy all the time. I don't know. She said you might not feel different now, but she says he is. And I thought, well, I don't know about him taking energy from me, but I do know he's attached to me, because on a number of occasions, people, when I've done events, I've saw the Englishman's face on my face.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But like a little flash, you know. So I know he's attached to me in some way, and I think that's why I can't let it go. You know, I just can't let it go. I've got to carry on.
I think there's an untold story as well, and you're his voice box.
That
Right.
actually leads me to the next question.
Yeah.
Does anybody know the age of that painting or the origins of it?
Yes, it's 50 years. Well, 60 years old now.
60 years old.
Yeah.
But nobody knows the actual origins of it or the origin story. It's just a case.
Well, this is where it gets interesting. Whilst me and Sean were talking, I mean, we're kind of speaking now, but when I was working with the Englishman in those 3.5 years, I said to Sean, Sean, I've got information. And the information was I got from the painting, you know, the yes and no responses, but also through my dreams as well. I had this dream, which was totally nuts. The dream was nuts. I had a number of dreams that were nuts. One of the dreams is I had the painting in a box in another room, and when he was in a box, or in Sean's case, in the cellar, nothing happened. Dormant, you know. So I was in a dreaming. I was asleep in bed, dreaming my head off, and I could see in my dream the Englishman painting on the easel, walking through the house. And it got to a room, and then it carried on walking. And the next thing, in my dream, it was right next to my bed. Now Sean didn't see the painting next to his bed, but he saw figures at the bottom of his bed every night, every single night. So that was a kind of a connection. But the one which was crazy dream was I always remember this dream. I was in a tunnel, and there was me next, and there was an opening to this tunnel, and then from there was a big dusty arena, and I could see this young boy, and he was in like a fetal position, you know, like trying to protect himself with his knees up to his chest and his hands like that, and I could see that he's being kicked and punched, but there was nobody there kicking him, punching him. And then to the right of me, it was 3 German soldiers, but just the heads.
Do you know what I was going to say to you? Do you think that is the victim of
I said to you, didn't I,
Nazis,
John?
or do you think that the energy that's portraying itself through that painting is not what it's telling you, but is possibly more attached to the, sounds crazy, but more attached to the Nazis themselves? Well,
I'll tell you something. This way it gets bizarre. If I, I should have sent some pictures to you, Viv, but I think you've seen them before anyway. And it's all down to Stephen Griffiths, to be honest with you. So going back to the dream again, I'll carry on about the other bit. There's 3 German soldiers there, and the heads were massive. They were huge, just looking down at us. And there's this young lad being kicked and punched, and you couldn't see who was doing it. It was by invisible person kicking him, punching him. people behind me, next in the and I was next in the queue. I was next to go out into this arena, and then I woke up. But anyway, I got in touch with Sean, and I said, Sean, I keep getting Bergen-Belsen.
Mm.
And Sean on the phone went quiet, and I said, "What's up, Sean?" He said, "I need to check something out." And I said, "Right." He says, "My grandmother knew 3 people who went to Bergen-Belsen." And I said, "Right, okay." So, consequently, what actually happened was when me and Sean kind of fell out, I suppose. When the painting went back to Sean was clearly annoyed. I was always going on about the name of David all the time. Sean said to me on the phone, he says, anyway, you know, like people short and say when they're annoyed. He says, anyway, his name isn't David. And he said he didn't go to Bergen-Belsen, he went to Auschwitz because somebody came forward who was a distant cousin and told him that the artist went to Auschwitz. And I said, Sean, I wasn't that far wrong because Bergen-Belsen was a detention camp for Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Yeah. People went to Bergen-Belsen first.
Do you know what's interesting?
Mm.
I said to you a long time ago, death camp, and hearing the story tonight about Chillingham Castle and the shadow standing in front of that young lady, and you said her name.
Yeah.
That sounded like a Jewish name to me, the name that you said.
David.
No, the girl. The short girl. Yeah, the surname.
Yeah.
It sounds, I'm not saying she is, but it sounds like a Jewish name to me. So it wouldn't have surprised me that he would have come out and stood like that in front of her, because there is that connection there without her even knowing that straight away.
Here's something even more nuts, which I'm going on now. This is what I believe, and it's going to be in the book. Where was it? It was a place in Ashton and Makerfield called the Fleece in 2013, I think. No, September. I only know this because I'm writing the book. It was in September 2013, yeah. And there was Ian Lawman and Stephen Griffiths on there on that night. And if you remember, they did a show together, a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the TV show it was called now, but they did a TV show together. Stephen Griffiths is a brilliant investigator. He really is. And we had the painting there, and we're giving people a chance to do lone visuals with the painting. But Swaddling Coat Paranormal team, which Steve was part of, they came along, really helpful guys, and they put a locked off camcorder in this room where we gave people lone vigils. Nothing happened in regards to that. But what did happen, which was really, really interesting, is Stephen was looking at the painting, and you could just about see it underneath the painting, hence the pentimento sessions, what I call them now, which I'll explain what pentimento means in a minute. Underneath the painting, you could see on the top right-hand side, you could just see a skull underneath the painting itself. So the artist had put a skull on there and then changed his mind and painted on top.
Yeah.
Or for whatever reason, this skull was still showing slightly. So Steve decided to get a laser thermometer, and the painting was 16 Celsius all around the painting, except for where the skull was, which was 9 Celsius.
That's interesting.
So Steve said, right, what we need to do, we need to determine whether there's a heat source coming from somewhere. So we got the painting, turned it upside down, and left it for a little while. And the temperature still stayed the same all around the painting, and the skull was 9 Celsius.
Sorry.
So Steve got a picture of the Englishman. He put it on the filters. I'm not a techie, so I have no idea what he did, what filters he put on it, but he did. And I've got a picture that Steve sent to me, and I should have given it to you, but I didn't. And on it, he's drawn a little white lines of what can be seen underneath the paint of the Englishman. On the top right, there's a skull. You can clearly see it. I'll send it to you later if you want. On the right shoulder, there's a devil. And on the left shoulder, there's the angel. Now, all this time, I was working with the Englishman. There was one particular time, and it was at 30 East Drive. I got in touch with Bill Bungie. I was doing work at the time, raising some money at the time for BLESMA, which is British Limbless Servicemen's Association. I'd raised some money for him already, and I was going to raise some more. And I asked Bill Bungie, I said, would you allow me to do 2 days lone vigil in 30 East Drive, and we'll do it for charity? And he said, yeah, no problem. He said, do 3 days. And I said, right, okay. And he was great, Bill. He was really supportive. So what I decided to do, it was at the Red Lion in Pontefract, this really, really weird pub. It was so strange, which I used to do some events there, and I used to use it for Irishman Live Experiment. And on this night was the only time I had a disagreement with the Englishman. It's nuts, I know. So, and there was witnesses there again. There were 7 people there that night. So, you know, the whole purpose of the Englishman Live Experiment was that there was witnesses there, you know, to come up with what, you know, well, you've seen people saying tonight that were there and stuff like that. And I thought, do you know what? I need to take this one step further, really. And I thought, well, I'll do the lone vigil, and I'll take the Englishman with me. But I called him David then. We had these, you know, he answered to David. And, you know, it might not have been the right name, but that's what he answered to.
Yeah.
So I was at the Red Lion in Pontefract. I told every man and his dog that I was doing this lone vigil for 3 days. I said to David, whilst the 7 guests were there, I said, David, I said, I want you to come to 30 East Drive with me, which was also in Pontefract. So the Red Lion was in Pontefract, 30 East Drive was. And all of a sudden, the painting started to shake really, really bad. I mean, I've never seen him shake like that before. And I said, David, is there something wrong? And he lifted up the left leg of the easel, which was always a sign of yes. And I said, right, well, with these yes and no responses, we worked out that he didn't want to go. And the reason why he didn't want to go is because he said all this time he was suppressing the dark side of the painting. And David was the good side of the painting. Okay, he was suppressing the darker side, and he said, in so many words, you know, through the communication of shaking the painting and lifting the left leg, is that if he went to 30 East Drive, he couldn't hold back the darker side of the painting because of what was there. What was there would have brought out the darker side. So, on that painting, I now believe that the painting underneath the anguished man, I believe that the devil is the darker side, and the angel on the left shoulder is David, who I'm in contact with now.
It's interesting, isn't it? What do you think, Dan? Well, I've actually,
it is very interesting.
I've actually had two experiences with that painting. The first one, when there wasn't a painting on it, it was just the canvas.
Yeah.
And it had the copper on it. And it had a finger on, not the easel. It was initially on the canvas. And then I put it on the easel. And we felt that thing move. It was walking. And Sean Cadman was on the other side of me, and we looked at each other and we went like that, which meant press it in harder and keep it still. We both did exactly that to try and suppress that thing from moving. And, you know, as you do when you first have an experience like that. So what's behind it? What's in front of it? What's making it move? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Me and Sean could not hold that down. And we were left gobsmacked. The second time, when we had the face on the painting, it was at a convention that I ran. And grown men, where you were doing your talk, John, grown men were sitting there looking at the painting as you were talking, and you could see David's mouth moving, talking, eyelids closing, opening, closing, and grown men were sitting there crying. Now, one man, I'll never forget this, and I'll say his name, he won't mind. Joe Chin just got up and ran out. And I had to go after him because he was another guest speaker there. Are you okay, Joe? And when he was able to collect himself, he said, I just felt so sad. He said, I saw the painting, the eyes move, the mouth like it was trying to speak, but no words coming out. He said, but the emotion and the sadness that came with it, he said, I couldn't control it. He said, I felt embarrassed by letting it all go. He said, I had to leave the room. I'm thinking, I thought there was something wrong. I'll get on with it then. I'll go back in. You know? But these are very real emotions from people. I mean, us women, we're all emotional anyway, and we'll cry at the drop of a hat. But to see grown men like that, getting emotional, crying, to see the thing move physically on the easel, and seeing the mouth and the eyes go in for my own self, it is an amazing thing. I've never experienced anything like that in the world, and I've seen a lot in my time. Never have I experienced anything like that. But it has to be said, Dan, you're gonna have to experience it. It is amazing. John's worked very hard with this, and you know, if I can say to everyone in the chat, if you ever get the chance, if John is going to a city near you, go buy a ticket, go.
Yeah, definitely.
Go and see it, because you'll never get your head around it. John, I've got some questions in the chat here. So I starred them way back when, so I'm going to try and put them to you. But Dan, do you want to read this one out for John?
You know, my eyes are terrible. I will try. John, do you hear spirit voices and listen to their conversations? I do, and sometimes it can be difficult to listen to them all the time. So I usually ask them to take a number.
Yeah,
I can just imagine out your house, hundreds of around the clock.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's happened to me on a couple of occasions. One occasion was I was going to a Spiritist church in Hayward at the time with my sister, and we're driving along in this car, and as you said, I could hear in my ear, and I couldn't understand what the hell it was saying. And I said, Janice, did you say something? And she said, no. I said, is that radio on? And she said, no. And it's like you said, you know, it's there, but you can't make out what was being said, or I couldn't anyway, let's say. And I think that's probably the time, yeah. That's the time I thought was really, really strange.
Brian wants to know, what level of alchemy are you, and what do you practice?
To be honest, Brian, none. And you know, I'm just me. To be honest, Brian.
Bro, that sounds like a question for a Hogwarts.
Yeah, yeah. I am just me. I just do what I do, and I'm what's a word? I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Dan,
Kevin says, say hello to Maxine.
I will do. Thank you, Kevin.
And Nicola says, I live in Hartlepool, John.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Right.
She's lovely, Nicola.
Cheers. Karen.
Love Maxine says, Karen Mardell goes, sorry, Viv.
We do love Maxine. I love Maxine.
I will tell Maxine that you love her.
Yeah. Not like that way, but we do love her. Yeah. Don't want her to get the wrong idea. Eric's got a question, Dan.
Hi, Eric.
So after the transfer, did the activity stop the original painting?
So after the transfer, did the activity stop?
Yeah.
Oh, only in the because Sean put it in the cellar. To be honest, and after watching, I realised today, after watching, and I'm glad I did, after watching the William Shatner episode of Weird or What, Sean got in touch with me in 2010. Sean took the painting out of the cellar. Okay. And in 2012, Sean got in touch with me. And in between those two times, he made a couple of videos. And I realised that I worked with the painting longer than Sean has, because I was doing it for 3.5 years and I was doing all sorts. No, I'm not saying that I'm any better than Sean. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that's why I got such a strong connection.
Oh, you Ned.
Ned's from Down Under.
Hello, Ned. You probably. I've got a brother down under who's near Wagga Wagga.
So a quick question. Sorry, I'm jumping it while I sort of got it in my mind. The Sean's grandmother had the paint initially.
Yes.
How did it come into her sort of possession?
Well, apparently, if I'm right in saying this, that Sean's grandmother was. Well, I'm sure Sean told me that he was a friend, but then, if I remember rightly, I think the program William Shatner's Weird or What states slightly differently. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was a friend. I think.
Was she English, his grandmother? Do you know? Or...
Yeah, I think so. I don't really know, but I think so.
Just wonder if she was sort of German or something, and she was. I don't know. Just thinking. I wonder if it got into her possession via other channels.
Yeah.
No, well, I don't know. But I'm just reading Kelly Coldclough's. I was having a chat to Kelly before. Have you seen the original painting again since? No, I haven't.
What would happen if you put the original painting and your painting side by side? How would... Oh, that would be amazing to see.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, I thought the same thing, to be honest. And I was saying to Maxine today, Sean once was offered £60,000 for that painting once, and he said, I'm not selling it. If I won the lottery, I think I'd offer him more money.
I've got something that I might give to you, John.
Oh, thank you.
So a few years ago, I went over to Auschwitz and I did private tours of both camps, Birkenau and the other one. Mm-hmm. And as I went to the big one where the train went through and dropped the prisoners off, I actually started my tour from round the back end. So our limo dropped us at the back and we got out of the car, went through the back gates. Yeah. And before I walked in, I bent down and I thought I picked a stone up and just put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Did the whole tour, realised as we walked through the back gates, you've got the dips where they were initially burying the bodies first before the cremations. One of the nearest buildings to where we walked in was an old crematoria, which the Germans blew up. Now, unbeknownst to me, that stone that I picked up and put in my pocket wasn't a stone. It was a piece of old concrete.
Oh, wow.
So I kept it in my jewellery box. I haven't got the heart to throw it away because of knowing what it is. But
I'll borrow it.
You could keep it with the painting to see what reactions you get, but you're more than welcome to have it. I can post. It's only small. I can post it to you if you want it sooner to get your experiments underway, but I don't mind.
Bless you. That'd be lovely. Can I?
Sorry, go on, John. No, fine.
No, I can't. I don't. I just don't take a breath, do I? Go on.
No, you're fine. It's just now that you've got the second painting, and you think that David's moved across.
I know.
Now,
David.
the first painting, the initial painting, had a positive and a negative side to it, didn't it? Positive energy, negative energy. So I'm assuming the negative energy would be of a different entity.
Yeah.
Do you think David's moved across, the positive side's moved across, and the negative side will remain with the other painting?
That's what I
David's free
believe.
from it.
I don't think that wasn't a popular view with Sean, really. I think Sean thought I was trying to take the limelight. I wasn't.
No, sorry, your painting that you've painted.
Yeah, no.
Do
I
you think that?
know what you mean.
Yeah.
When Sean found out about painting that I painted being called David, I think he thought that I was trying to take something away from him. Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't the case. It was, like you said, I believe now that he's a good side. David's a good side. And I do wonder, and I know I'm going off on a tangent really, but I do wonder if the devil side, could that be something to do with the Nazis? Could that be?
And what he witnessed, what David witnessed when he was alive.
Because he was a tormented soul, wasn't he?
That large energy walking in front of that little girl is sort of the bullish behaviour that the Nazis would have ensconced in them, wouldn't they? They would have loved that. That's the way they would have acted.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe it's defence as well. It's a good defence thing, isn't it?
And that dream of the young boy being kicked to death, you know, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Was that young boy David?
I never thought about that, Viv. Good point. Was that young boy David? Well, yeah, maybe. Who knows? Yeah.
Have to find out.
Can I lead the conversation? Just on.
Please do.
Have we got time? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
The Pentimento sessions is what I'm working on. At the moment, to be honest with you, I'm not doing events anymore because I need to concentrate on this.
Yeah.
It's been going on too long. Now, the reason why I'm calling it Pentimento sessions is because if you look in the dictionary, pentimento means a painting underneath a painting. That's why I called it that. Going back to doing events 2 years ago at Chillingham Castle, I took David there. I took the germanium receptor with me. I attached the germanium receptor to the painting because now I want to talk. I want to get him to talk again. You know, well, not again. He has talked actually, but I'll go to that now. He's talked for the first time, which was 2 years ago. I put the painting in the killing room, which is Edward's room. Painting of David, and I kicked myself. Why I did it, I don't know. What I wanted to do was, I thought if I keep the lights as dark as I can and not concentrate on the room and just everything being concentrated on the germanium receptor, that'd probably work, which it did, but something else happened. So we put a voice recorder in front of the germanium receptor. Now, to be honest with you, whether the voice captured was on the germanium receptor or the voice recorder, as in EVP, I'm not too sure, but it worked all the same. So I had the painting in the Edward's room. To the left of the painting was a lady called Sam and then a lady called Nick on the other side. And the whole thing about the painting that I learned, that you had to touch slightly on the side of the painting, as you and Sean did. And the reason for that is you're giving the painting energy, but you can also feel any slight movements, which you could. So me and a lady called Karen Ford was asking the questions that night. The painting was going nuts because I heard Sam, I couldn't see it myself, a lady called Judith could, because she was stood in the right position. But the painting was really struggling to move and stuff. And on the recording, you could hear Sam and Nikki going, "Whoa, oh, oh!" you know, as the painting's moving. And me and Karen were asking the question, saying, "Come on, David, come on, David." And on the recording, you can clearly hear the voice saying, "I'm really trying."
Oh.
And you know why he was really trying? Because the leg of the easel got caught on the carpet and I couldn't see it coming down.
Oh no! Oh bless.
So I was gutted. I should have put a red light on like I always do, but I didn't. So anyway, So what I'm going to do is the Pentimenta sessions is on the 17th of February. The lady from Hartlepool, you might be interested. On the 17th of Feb, I've very kindly, a group has agreed to allow me to attend their event. I think they're going to allow me to work on that night, or whether it's just the first meeting, but I think they're going to allow me to work on that night because I explained what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And they're called Spiritus Paranormal. They're a Northeast group. It's the 17th of December, 17th of February. It's 9 till 3 a.m. and it's at Northern Hope in Birtley. So if you would be interested in going on that event and seeing me doing this experiment, then book on their event.
I'm going to be. The 17th of February is my day out with Andy to the.
Is it really?
British Museum.
Well done, you.
We're doing a tour of the dead.
Oh, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. So 17th of Feb, Northern Hope in Birtley. Just go on their website, you'll see it. The Spiritus Paranormal. It's okay, and just click on it and book your ticket. Jim's going. Jim and who's said a comment before. Jim Carruthers and his good friend for many years, Stephen's going. I'm hoping other people might go as well, because I thought to myself, do you know what? I need to really concentrate on it, and if I can I need to work the painting, and what it is. This is where you come in, Viv. Right. Basically, what happens is if I work the painting, I know this is a fact because I knew it because of working with the Englishman for so many years. If I worked with the painting once a month, small things happened. If I worked the painting twice a month, it was good. If I worked with the painting 3 times a month, it was amazing. So what I'm going to set up is like a circle. Like Robin Foy said to me, bless him. He died, was it last year or the year before? And he said to me, because I told him about the painting and the skull experiment sessions, they did the sessions exactly on the same time on the same day of each week. Yeah, to get continuity, and it worked. So I thought, well, who would know better than Robin Foy, something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some people around to my house. We're going to work with the painting. I'm going to ask William Becker. I'm going to ask yourself. And I was also going to ask if you wouldn't mind to see if Joe Chin's interested.
We could try and contact him. Yeah, we could ask him.
Yeah. And you guys could be doing a freeway StreamYard stream or whatever, Skype, whatever you do. Yeah, you could do it that way, and you don't have to be in the same room to actually connect. It's there's different ways, isn't there? Remote viewing, there's different things.
Yeah,
you know all that. And if we're working the painting each week, and then every now and again, I go to a place like Northern Hope with a paranormal group. It's going to be amazing. It is going to be amazing.
And if you had that piece of concrete, I'll dig it out for you.
On concrete, it'd be even better. Do you know, for a while, I'll be honest with you, for a while I lost trust in some people, to be honest, because people get in touch with you, and this is what I said when I got in touch with Spiritus. I said to the guy, I sent him an email, and I said, no, I spoke to him on the phone. Sorry, I spoke to him on the phone, and I said, look, when everybody gets in touch with you, they've got their own agenda.
Yeah,
so they have got my own agenda, but my agenda is just working the painting, and that's it. And I said we could scratch each other's backs. I said if you allow me to come on your event to do what I do, I said it's completely different to what you've ever seen before.
Yeah.
So it's just scratch each other's back, isn't it? And
Dan would like a back scratch right now. He's hurt his back.
Give him a back scratch.
yeah.
Oh, Ned is asking, just quickly before we all disappear, Ned's asking, have you released this information so the public and the paranormal world can see it and hear it?
Sorry, my eyes are terrible.
He's talking about the Pentimento sessions now, or everything, Ned. Are you talking about the whole thing? Let's see if he types.
Karen Mardell says it's a shame because she's in the Algarve from the 13th to the 20th. So
Oh, it must be terrible being in the Algarve.
I
No,
know.
it must be,
Must be awful. Somebody's got to go, I suppose, haven't they?
Yeah, who'd want to go there?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think, well, to answer Ned's question then, no, not really, to be honest with you. You know what, Ned, I've probably messed around a lot, you know. I've just done the events. I've just tried to keep the painting busy all the time. And this is why I've come to the conclusion that I've been writing this book for years, and it's got to be finished. And this is why I'm doing it. And then there's going to be a second book. The first book is about the Englishman and the transition to David. Well, not the Englishman, but you know the bit that worked with me. And then the second book has got to be the Pentimento sessions. So that's where you come into it, but you'll be involved in that, Joe Chin. Okay. And Dan, if you want to be involved in it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, John. I was going to ask you, when's your book out? Do you got any idea yet, roughly, or?
No, because it's not finished yet. I'm still writing it.
I'm going to rush out and get a copy of that as soon as it comes out.
yeah. So I've been working hard on it, actually. So I don't know what I've got left to do on it, but it's coming together. It's coming together.
That's brilliant. That's great.
Is there a link to the EVP recording you captured? Cliff wants to know.
It was done by, like I say, a lady called Karen did it for me, Karen Ford. Now she sent, you know, I'm not a techie. She sent me the link on Messenger of the EVP recording, and how you get off that Messenger, I have no idea.
Yeah, so, I'm like you. I'm terrible with it.
If I can get it, Cliff, I'll send it to you. Yeah. If you tell Viv, but I don't know how to get it off it. So
there is a way. There is a way of doing it.
I'll just I'll just send it to you.
Okay.
I'll just send it to you, and you can send it to me.
You did round robin.
Yeah.
Round robin.
Round robin.
Yeah. I'll just send it to you. Yeah.
So they're all waiting for the book to come out. Yeah.
Good read, isn't it?
It would be a very good read, but. John, if people want to contact you, can they? And if they can, how can they?
Of course. Well, you got to be careful with it because, oh God, I hate people who hack Facebook pages, and somebody hacked my Facebook page. So yeah, well,
lately.
Yeah, but anyway, and it's so much so that I can't get into it. So I've created a new Facebook page. Yes, you can get in touch with me on that, John Blackburn. But I'll tell you what's still up is there's John Blackburn is still up. I've got Mysteria Paranormal Events is still there, and Enigma Paranormal Events is still there because I changed the name at some point.
Mysteria Paranormal Events.
Paranormal Events.
I'm writing this all down here in the chat, so they've got it.
Yeah.
And Enigma.
And there's one, John Blackburn Physical Medium. There's that one.
Oh,
perfect. Have you got the banners up, Viv?
Do what?
You got the banners up?
Hang on, I haven't even written it yet. John Blackburn.
Physical Medium, it's down as, I think.
Thanks for tonight, John. It's been absolutely amazing. Lovely
in
to
fact,
speak to you. Thank you so, so much.
Hang on, I'm
for
missing one.
inviting me, Dan. I appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Enigma paranormal events.
Yeah. Yeah. And if all else fails, get in touch with Maxine Jane Briggs.
Yes. That woman's amazing. I love Maxine.
Thank you, Sarah.
Right, here we go. I think I've got it right. Oh, I spelled
John
Blackburn wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's only K missing.
Yeah.
Just a K.
With a K, guys.
Yes. Can you not amend it?
Oh, let me have a look. I might do. It's on the chat. I did it on this chat thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I can delete the comment or block the user. Oh, John, it's been fantastic. We do want you back. We do want you back on the show in a few months to see what's been happening. Any updates?
Definitely.
Any news? Will you come back and chat to us again?
Yeah, and we're going to chat about these Pentamental sessions.
We are, yes.
Another time, yeah, or whenever you want. That's up to you.
It's up to you.
Yeah,
I think you need a rest after all of that tonight.
Do you want a quick chat about it after the show?
Yeah, we can do. Yeah. So everyone, Dan and I are back next Tuesday evening with the Things Network with Eric and the gang, and I think we're talking history versus the paranormal. And next Wednesday we will be back as normal. Chatting about all things good and weird and wonderful. We hope you can join us. Dan, I'm going to leave the last words with you.
Yeah, I just want a quick word with Cliff. Cliff, are you off to the docks tomorrow? Didn't you say you were going to sort something out tomorrow? You need to go and see the hospital or something. Just want to wish you the best of luck with that, mate. Thinking of you. Definitely thinking of you. Just best of luck with that. Bless you. I'm sure you'll be fine. Just best of luck with it. And everybody else, thanks ever so much for coming on tonight and joining in with the chat. Really appreciate that. Bless you. And John, what a great, fantastic, great guest.